Hi everyone, I am Colonel T. Srinivasulu and I welcome you all to my channel, which has been named in the name of my late Guruji, His Holiness Swami Sahajananda Tirtha. Today, before I continue speaking on a topic which is a little lesser now, I would like to add a warning or take it as a disclaimer, whichever way you want, that certain yoga techniques, especially related with pranayama or mudras, should never be practiced without the supervision of a yoga teacher. The reason is they may lead to certain complications, and if something goes wrong, you won't know what to do about it. Even if you go to some doctors, they will not be able to help you. So this is the problem. So whatever I am now speaking to you is purely for the educational purpose, and if it gives you the inspiration to pursue the subject further, I consider that this video which I am doing, it has done its job, or I have achieved my purpose. Now, today's topic which I wanted to talk to you is about, we have a system in ancient Sanskrit text called Grandhis. You can say that Grandhis are somewhat calcified deposits along the cerebrospinal system in a human body. We have something known as Brahma Grandhi, which is at the lower end of the cerebrospinal system. Then you have the Vishnu Grandhi, and then we have, of course, the Rudra Grandhi, which is supposed to be at the Agnya Chakra, or between the eyebrows, exactly between the eyebrows. These are the three Grandhis, and they have got a lot of spiritual importance in yoga systems. But notwithstanding all that, first of all, what is important as far as a yogi is concerned, I will come to that first. A yogi is predominantly concerned with this accumulated storehouse of the karma. The accumulated storehouse of the karma, it is supposed to be co-located with the human intellect and egoism. That is in a sheath called Vijnanamaya Kosha. If you take the entire human body, is manufactured out of 5 layers or 5 sheaths. The outermost, the body of flesh and blood, we call it as Annamaya Kosha, and this is the outermost layer which one you leave behind when a person dies. Only the outermost layer of flesh and blood is left behind, and rest, all the 4 layers are intact, which we call it as subtle body. And the second layer is called the Pranamaya Kosha, the sheath of the life force. That means just below this flesh and blood, that life force which makes the creatures breathe, which makes all the biological systems inside your body function properly, and that's what is called, we call it as life force. So that happens with the second layer. And the third layer, of course, is the mind, the conscious mind, Manomaya Kosha. And beneath that is the 4th layer, which we are referring to as Vijnanamaya Kosha in Hindi, and in Sanskrit it is called as Vijnanamaya Kosha. That is the sheath of intellect. Now, in the sheath of intellect is the human intelligence. I'm not talking about artificial intelligence now. We call it as human intelligence, natural intelligence. And the egoism are co-located. And along with that is the storehouse of the karma, which is co-located. Now this storehouse of the karma, you call it the karmic data. It must have been carried obviously from the past life, and some must have got added in the present life. So that karmic data, it is like a battery. It continuously fuels the human being to go on living. As long as the karma is intact, it is acting as a full battery, the life will go on. Even if the body of flesh and blood, it gets degenerated, and due to old age or due to some accident, even if you have to leave the body of flesh and blood behind, but the soul is not going anywhere. The subtle body will go, die, leaving this body of flesh and blood. It will manufacture a new body. It is as simple as that. So which is of importance to yogi is concerned, or from yoga point of view, this storehouse of the karmic data, you manage to neutralize that karmic data, wipe it neat and clean, finished. The game is over. The soul cannot be bound by the body of flesh and blood now. That is very important. So why I was talking to you today about this karmic data or the sensual impressions, and how they are important to yoga point of view, and why I am trying to link it with these three granthis which I was talking, is the core essence of today's topic. Now here what is happening, every human body is manufactured with 5 sensory organs of perception. Call it Jnanendriya. Your basically eyes, ears, nose, your tongue and the skin. Now with these 5 sensory organs, a human being is continuously receiving the inputs from outside world. It is receiving it through these sensory organs, and they are getting recorded deep inside the human body, and they are being recorded at the storehouse which you are talking about in Vijnanamaya Kosha, in the form of karma. That's what we are referring to as karma. We call it by different names. Some call it as Sanchita karma, some call it Prarabdha karma. See, these things don't matter. That karma which is about to now manifest, fructify immediately, because the karma will now, it will like a compressed spring, it will now rebound back. It will now manifest in the day-to-day life now. Once it is ready, we call it as Prarabdha karma, or when it is going to manifest at some time in the future, we call it as Sanchita karma. Don't get carried away by all this terminology, because if you get carried away by the Sanskrit terminology, every Sanskrit term which you focus on, it will act as a problem for you. It will act as a kind of an obstacle for you in understanding the overall picture. So don't get too much focused on it. I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible, so that I try and avoid using the Sanskrit terminology as much as possible, because I understand that every Sanskrit term I use, you will all get confused more and more. Okay, now let's coming to the karmic data, which is at the core of every human being, located in the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the sheet of the intellect. And what is there beyond that, we will talk, leave it for some other video. We will not talk about it. What is there beyond the sheath of intellect, which we call it as the casual body or the Karana Sharira, or we also call it as a seed body. We will talk about it later on. Now what happens here, when a human being is undergoing, let's say ever since he is born, he is undergoing through so much of physical traumas and sometimes mental trauma, because he has been getting the inputs, as I said, through all the 5 sensory organs. And the karma, when it is manifesting, the command is coming from the intellect, and you are executing the actions. by using your 5 organs of action. Just like you have 5 organs of knowledge, that is Jnanendriya, you have 5 Karmendriya. 2 hands, 2 legs, the ability to speak, that is your in the throat. Then of course the genital organ, and of course the organ of excretion. So you have the 5 organs of Karmendriyas. Now why I am talking to you about this Karmendriya is, along the cerebrospinal system which we are talking about, the cerebrospinal system which we humans understand, which is made of bone and the bone marrow. Underneath is the tantric cerebrospinal system, invisible in form, in which are the various chakras located. That is the underlying asset, you can say that. It's like a phantom structure. It's like a phantom structure beneath the cerebrospinal system made of calcium. Beneath the body of calcium is the underlying structure. Now, whenever these karmas which are being embedded inside the Vijnanamaya Kosha, or the sheath of intellect, wherever the person is perceiving all the trauma, stress, your excitement, everything for that matter, all human emotions, these are getting calcified. I'm using the term. I doubt modern science has any explanation for this, and I don't have a better terminology to use to explain it. Probably because of this I am forced to use this term, and I'm saying that these emotions are getting calcified along this cerebrospinal system. That means when we talk about Brahma Grandhi and Vishnu Grandhi and Rudra Grandhi, there are only 3 Grandhis in the cerebrospinal system. The lowermost 2 Grandhis, that is your root chakra and the sacral chakra, or the or call it Muladhara chakra and Swadhisthana chakra. These 2 chakras are associated with the Brahma Grandhi. So all the physical trauma undergone by an individual all his life, that gets the impressions are getting recorded in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. All right, karma is getting accumulated there, but the gross form of that karma, the karmic dust, you call it, the grosser version of it, it is getting calcified in a fine layer of calcium. It is getting formed in the lower portion of your cerebrospinal system, resulting into probably lower backache. When people complain about their problems in disc bulging, that the lower vertebrae are become problematic, the lumbar vertebra. See, I am not a medico, so I will not get into the medical terminology. I am only speaking from a yoga point of view. So all this physical pain which you undergo at the bottom of your lower spine, lower back, or rather lower backache, it is all due to that physical trauma accumulated in the cerebrospinal system, deep inside, which we are referring to as Brahma Grandhi, usually made of these 2 chakras, that is the root chakra and the sacral chakra. And the next 2 chakras, that is Manipura chakra, which is navel region, and of course the heart chakra, we refer to as Vishnu Grandhi. All the emotional trauma which a person has undergone, we can say that it gets accumulated along this Vishnu Grandhi, calcified into fine layers of calcium. So the mechanism has to be there in place, right? Karma is getting accumulated deep inside your Vijnanamaya Kosha, that is the sheath of intellect, which finally will get neutralized when you undergo through the consequences of it. But the grosser version of that karma in a calcified form, or we call it as Grandhi, is basically a calcified knot, you can say that. A calcified knot. A knot wherein the calcium deposits have been concentrated. Where you have the lower back, you have all the physical trauma is concentrated, and the upper Grandhi, that is in the middle Grandhi rather, Vishnu Grandhi, all the your emotional trauma is concentrated. So for this, and I will not talk about this Rudra Grandhi, which is then located in between the eyebrows here. We will talk as a separate topic later on. Now, why I am saying this? When you say that in Ashtanga Yoga, if you see, you are encouraged to practice the basic pranayama. It is said that it will help in Nadi Shodhana, or purifying your the nadis. See, there are two things which you need to understand here. Since my today's topic is not meant to dive deep into all these things, so I will be giving you only the the broad picture about it. Because the pranamaya kosha which you are talking about, or the life force which is there beneath this body of flesh and blood, it is a gross form of the mind, conscious mind. If the mind, from the mind, how did a life force has originated? Just give it a thought. Just give it a thought. You have a human mind which is conscious, all right. And we are also saying the life force which is operating inside your body is gross form of the mind. That means the life force which is beneath your flesh and blood, it is a mechanical force. It is a mechanical vibration which is forcing your lungs to move. Since your lungs are being forcefully moved, organisms are breathing, inhaling and exhaling the breath. That's why we call them as creatures, because they are capable enough to breathe. It is not that they are breathing, therefore their lungs are moving. No. Some invisible force is making that lungs move, resulting in this pump action through your nose, the breathing. Get it very clear. Now, from a yoga point of view, what is to be understood? How come a mind which is in a kind of a psychedelic thing, which can get converted into a mechanical vibration? How is it possible? Here is the food for thought. That means the world which we have been understanding as it is not mathematical in nature. It is not mathematical in nature. There is something else to this. Some kind of an acoustic resonance is setting in. Now, what do you mean by the acoustic resonance? In the cerebrospinal system, when we talked about it, in one of my earlier videos, I think I have said also about it. All the 5 chakras, let's say starting from the root chakra up to the throat chakra. I'm not talking about the Agni chakra again. I'm repeating again and again. I do not like to discuss it. There are 2 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet at this Agni chakra between the eyebrows. Leaving these 2 chakras aside, rest 48 chakras are distributed along the 5 chakras. So the cerebrospinal system is not simply a system of calcium as you are probably thinking. Even the underlying asset beneath it, even the phantom structure, I'm using the word, the phantom structure, which we call it as part of subtle body or Sukshma Sharira in Sanskrit. It is got this alphabet of the Sanskrit letters, 48 of them, imprinted at each chakra. It is a mind. Basically, it is a mind only. Mind means don't think that mind is there in the brain. No. The mind has been distributed along these 5 chakras, starting from your root chakra up to your throat chakra. The entire mind is in a vertical fashion, it is distributed. And along these 5 chakras, you have various centers of sensory perceptions. For example, root chakra, it linked with the nose. And your sacral chakra, that is Swadhisthana chakra, it is linked with the taste. And your navel chakra, it is linked with your eyes, the ability to see the form. And your heart chakra, it is linked with the ability to feel the touch. And your throat chakra, it is linked with your ears. So all the 5 sensory organs are linked with the cerebrospinal system. Similarly, you have the karmendriyas, all the 5 organs of action. They are linked with these 5 chakras. You know, the root chakra, it is associated with the excretory organ. And the sacral chakra is associated with the genital organ. And the navel chakra is associated with your legs for locomotion. And your heart chakra is associated with the hands. And your Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, is associated with this, your ability to speak. Right? So you see, the mind is composed of all these chakras. 5 karmendriyas, 5 jnanendriyas, and what else we have along the cerebrospinal system? 5 physical elements: solids, liquids, gases, fire, which the modern science doesn't admit. I will come to that later on sometime. And of course the ether, again the modern science doesn't admit. Modern science admits only solids, liquids and gases as 3 states in which a matter can exist. It doesn't admit that fire is a state of the matter, because it doesn't have mass and volume. Now that is the problem of science. I have got nothing to do with that. Anyway, so 5 physical elements are also located along the cerebrospinal system. So now what is happening here? Since the 48 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet are also distributed along the 5 chakras along the cerebrospinal system, your mind is essentially, it has now become a sonic entity. It is not mathematical model, it is a sonic model. And beyond the mind is the Agni chakra associated with your intelligence, intellect. Means beyond the conscious mind, we call it a subconscious mind, which has got the intellect, human intellect, as located at the Agni chakra, and along with egoism and the storehouse of the data which I talked to you about, where all your physical trauma, emotional trauma, Everything is recorded here. And that. So when the command is coming from this Agni Chakra, that's why it is called Agni Chakra, because the command comes from here. And the sonic model of the mind, the conscious mind, it creates some kind of a acoustic shock wave. Acoustic shock wave is created which travels down the spine, bypassing the throat chakra, which I will talk in a separate way later on. It doesn't go through the throat chakra. The acoustic shock wave goes and hits at the base of the spine. Thereby, the acoustic wave is now getting converted into a kind of a mechanical vibration. The acoustic vibration is getting converted into a kind of a mechanical vibration, resulting in movement, the initial movement of the lungs. Now the implications are profound now. All hell has broken loose now inside the human body now. All hell has broken loose now with that initial movement of the lungs, the life force. The moment started vibrating, forcing you to inhale and exhale, all hell has broken loose now. It will now get further distributed itself into 5 major life forces, which we call it as Panch Pran, responsible for various functions in the body, major functions, and 5 minor life forces. When I say minor life forces, like for example, I'll just give you the example so that you get the idea. Your movement of your eyelids, there is a minor life force which is responsible for that. So there are 5 major life forces and 5 minor life forces which are now operating inside your body, and all that life force has been kick-started by the acoustic sonic boom, sonic vibration, call it, which has come from the mind, or the mind itself has manifested into this sonic energy, and all your chakras are now activated. And where the command has come from? Command has come from the intellect. Now imagine what will happen to all this trauma you are undergoing now. All the physical trauma or the emotional trauma, it is now getting deposited along your cerebrospinal system now. Grosser form. In subtle form it is there along with the intellect and the egoism in the storehouse of the karma. That is in the subtle form. But in the little grosser form, it is getting calcified in the form of thin layers of calcium. It is getting accumulated along your cerebrospinal system, which we are calling it a lower back, middle back, or upper back. Lower back or upper back. Lower back is what we call it as the Brahma Grandhi, and your upper back is what we call it as Vishnu Grandhi. Rudra Grandhi I am not talking again, between the eyebrows, that we will discuss later on. Now because of this, what happens is, when you do the pranayama and all that, you are in a simple pranayama, you are told that you breathe through your left nostril, alternate nostril breathing. You breathe through your left nostril and then close it. Exhale it right through right side. Now again inhale it through the same nostril. Now close this thing, exhale it. Now this is one round. Inhale it through the left by closing the right. Once you inhale it, arrest the breath inside and then close this left nostril. Exhale it outside. Once you exhale it, again arrest the breath outside. Close this nostril, right side, and then inhale it. Exhale it. So you complete one round. See, what is happening here is, there are something known as along the cerebrospinal system. Predominantly, you have two nadis. One is Ida Nadi and Pingala Nadi, left and right. And in between is the central channel, we call it as Sushumna Nadi, through which the Kundalini energy is supposed to be climbing up after awakening. Now, if you see this Ida Nadi and Pingala Nadi, Ida Nadi starts from the left side and it terminates in the right nostril. When I say it starts from the left side, it starts from the left side of the male genital organ, left testicle, left side of the testicles. It starts, the point of origin is that left side, and it terminates on the right nostril. And the Pingala Nadi, other way around. It starts from the right testicle and it terminates in the left nostril. It is the opposite. They crisscross at each chakra. At the root chakra, they maintain their same identity, the left side and right side, that is Ida Nadi and Pingala Nadi. And the moment they climb up to Swadhisthana chakra, that is sacral chakra, they crisscross. Ida goes to right side, Pingala goes to left side. Now what is happening in the alternate breathing? As I told you, in an ordinary human being, when he is breathing, normal breathing, sometimes you are exhaling and inhaling through your left nostril, sometimes you are inhaling and exhaling through your right nostril. So you are artificially you are forcing the thing in reverse direction now. Just like there is a pipe, water pipe. Water is not flowing freely because the dust, mud got accumulated in the water pipe. Now you want to clean the water pipe. So what you are trying to do now, you are forcefully pumping the water out. First one direction. Now you are shifting the motor on the other direction and trying to clean it in the reverse order now. So when you are forcefully doing this alternate nostril breathing, which we call it as Anuloma Viloma, that exercise in pranayama, Anuloma Viloma, you are essentially trying to clean your cerebrospinal system, both your Brahma Grandhi and Vishnu Grandhi. All the calcified deposits are your physical trauma, your emotional trauma. It is now getting cleared up now. It is now getting cleared up. How it is cleared up? For example, if you see the lower back you have, as I said, the Brahma Grandhi, wherein it is there are two chakras involved here. That is the root chakra and the sacral chakra. Your emotional, or not emotional trauma, your physical trauma, it is now calcified and embedded there. When you are doing this breathing, it is being lifted up, extracted out. Just like you extract a stone which is embedded in a ground, use a crowbar and lift it up. You extract the entire stone out from the ground. In the same fashion, your entire trauma which you have been experiencing as your lower back is extracted out from the cerebrospinal system by Anuloma and Viloma. What we call it as Nadi Shodhana. Same thing happens with your upper back, that emotional trauma. So that is the impact of that alternate nostril breathing, Anuloma Viloma, how these Grandhis come into play. But does it eliminate the original karma? No. It is only that outside cleaning which is going on. The calcified knots are being cleaned up, or the calcified deposits are being cleared, the fine calcium layers. The original karma has not gone anywhere. that Kundalini energy has to be awakened, and Kundalini energy has to clean it up. So this is what I wanted to talk to you today, basically, about this Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi and Rudra Grandhi, or the calcified knots, as we call it, and how they are very important in yoga systems like Ashtanga Yoga and all that. And from a yoga point of view, of course, as I said, they are quite important from a yoga point of view, because the trauma is cleared up. It will help in keeping the mind calm. In Ashtanga Yoga, what they do, the aim is to keep the mind calm so that they can focus on an object. So this is one of the techniques they use by doing this alternate nostril breathing, which we call it as Anuloma Viloma. They carry out this cleaning of this Ida and Pingala nadis, because of which the mind becomes little calm. Because the very life force itself is nothing but a gross form of the mind only. I just told you. Because the mind, as you are thinking, it is not something like which is able to. It is a psychedelic thing which is able to think and all that. No, that's all right. That's what the mind is supposed to do, and mind also undergoes through a lot of emotions. We all know that the 9 categories of emotions the mind undergoes through. But along with these 9 categories of emotions, which your mind is capable enough to undergo, and also the transmission gear you have, where you use that instrument known as free will, or the sankalpa, as you call it in Sanskrit, that is also there in the mind only. Fine. And the mind is also has got various other stuff. Your 5 organs of knowledge, that eyes, ears and all that. It has got all the centers, 5 centers, and also the 5 centers for the physical elements. Let's say your eyes are perceiving that something is a solid in front of you, because there is a sensor inbuilt in the mind. One sensor is called as eyes, which is known as Jnanendriya, and another thing which is relating to the principle of solidity, that it is a solid thing. Your mind is perceiving that something is a solid because of these 2 things, right? Without these 2 sensors, you won't know. When you see a mountain, you will not know that mountain is a solid thing. When I say, let's say, mobile phone, you don't know that this phone is a solid thing. How will you figure it out? The idea of solidity, that it is very solid, the idea doesn't originate in your mind. It doesn't flash. For that, there are 2 chakras which are involved here. That is root chakra, where is the earth element, the principle of solidity. The sensor is put there in your root chakra. That's how you are able to. And secondly, you are able to see it, the form. Like I am seeing my mobile. My mobile is this is what Google Pixel 10 series. Google Pixel 10 series mobile. I am able to see it, the form, that it is this size and all that. And my navel chakra is getting activated there, because the sensor is put in my navel chakra, which is linked with my eyes. That's why I am able to see its form. And I know that it is a solid because root chakra, that is getting activated. There are 2 chakras involved here. So that's how it happens, how the cerebrospinal system functions and all that. And but as I said in the beginning, kindly please do not attempt to do any serious pranayama or any mudras. Of course, mudras we have not talked about it today. We will talk about it next time. Simple pranayama, fine, all right. Anything serious if you want to do, don't do it without the supervision of a yoga teacher. Remember that, because it may lead to complications. It has got a lot of calming effect. I told you how mind is creating that acoustic shock wave, and which is getting converted into life force, a mechanical vibration, which is because of which the breathing is being caused. People are able to breathe. The creatures are breathing because of that mechanical vibration. And where it has, the mechanical vibration has come from? The sonic model of the mind. Now by breathing deliberately, you are now reversing the concept here. That's why if you see, when someone is undergoing through little tension and all that, is attending, going for an interview, you say, Riya, take deep breath. Take deep breath. You advise him. Why? Because the breathing has got the calming effect on the mind. But the actual mechanism is this, which I told you. And especially when you try to do deliberately the anuloma and viloma, this alternate nostril breathing, it impacts your calcium deposits. That's the calcified knots are impacted by it. So that's all I wanted to talk to you today, and we'll talk more about it, this subject. We'll dive little more into such topics in the future videos. Wish you all the best, and nothing else from my side.